I think that you have to, if you are a teacher that you are using formative assessment, you have to observe a lot to be in like a second plane, so like be out of the process, but you have to be like an eagle that you are watching or looking around them to try to help them. But it's very complex because sometimes we think that we are the leaders of the class, but we have to try to change leaders instead of guide them and help them. And also you have to be a very organized person. So when we start working with this methodology, we are not some organized like now. Now we try to focus on the steps that they have to follow in their class, that the students have to follow, and obviously you have to organize the classrooms better or the lessons better than before. Because I don't know how to say, because the lessons have to be well done, prepared, step by step, because if not, the students can be lost.
I think the first one is you should be very patient, because students are not as faster as you as doing their assessment. Okay. Also, maybe they are not going to give you the same points that you are looking for. Okay. So you need to read again and think about it, about what your students are saying. Also, you should be very open-minded, because sometimes maybe your students are going to say to you that this is not good for us, we don't like it, or we are not learning properly that way. So you have to reschedule your own lessons and your way of doing. So you need to be open-minded. And also, I think you be very proactive, okay? Because sometimes you have to push them to do it, because sometimes the kids in front of a teacher, always they are going to try to be good with the teacher, okay? They are going just to say good things and so on. So you have to try to work with them a lot, just on the way of performing them, how to do this. And it's a moment in where you can explain to me whatever you want, but your things, not the things I want to listen from you. Just, I want someone just to start with very little things, okay? Maybe when you have a look to certain kind of lessons, that like the ones we have been practicing and you have been recording, you will check, oh, that's amazing, that's very great, it's something really big for me, I cannot do it. For sure, when I started doing this, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, I don't start doing something like this. What you have seen is something that I have improved little by little, checking what's better for my students, what's not. And there was something that I do it and then I put again in my drawer because it's not needed for them. Okay, so just start with very little things, maybe just with thumbs up, then continue just giving reasons in a paper, then just reading a rubric, things little by little, and then just you can gain this kind of such a big thing for assessment.
A good advice that I could give to teachers who would like to start with these things, with the formative assessment or the self, that the first thing that they can do is try. Try the first time and check what is happening there. And try that the pupils or the students do it. And after, you can observe what is happening in the process and back at home and think what is happening. But maybe when you are doing this kind of assessment, maybe you can think that you were lost because you don't know what is happening on the students. But when you see the marks, or when you see in the groups that they are working together, so maybe you can guess what is happening in your group. and can give you a lot of information about what is happening in your lessons, if they are achieving the contents and the social relationship in your. But my advice will be try, and why not record to watch at home what is happening in your lesson.
Well, one important thing is the mistake point, okay? If you want your kids thinking and saying their own things about their products, about your way of teaching, about their way of learning, you need to make them to be very comfortable, and you are going to listen and you are going to use this information. If, for example, after my assessment lesson, I take this paper, I put a final mark, and I didn't use this information for nothing more, and I didn't change nothing, and they didn't feel I didn't change nothing, next time they are not going to make such a big effort to do it perfectly. So I think you have to believe in your kids, you have to believe on what they are saying to you, and they are going to believe that they can do things different for you.